तबले में साउंड चाहिए प्लीज। हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा हरे रामा राम राम हरे मिलके बोलेंगे हरे कृष्ण हरे राम राम हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम रामा हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे हरि बोल हरि बोल थोड़ा साउंड दीजिए कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे रामा राम रामा हरे हरे बोलिए हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna, welcome to the program, Srimad Bhagavatam class and attentive chanting. Welcome once again, and in the new year, and we'll just continue for where we left off last time. So we were talking about the two sons of Diti, or rather at that time we were talking that Lord Narayan had asked his doorkeepers, Jay and Vijay, to go into the material world by the curse of the four Kumaras. The four Kumaras glorified the Lord. They met him, and the Lord apologized to them for his doorkeepers, because he said that he's responsible for his stuff, and he apologized for their behavior. And in fact, the four Kumaras were quite embarrassed that they had cursed Jay and Vijay in haste. But anyway, it was all good. It was all pre-planned by Lord Narayan. And the two doorkeepers now left for the material world. And it's mentioned that those two principal doorkeepers of the personality of Godhead have now entered the womb of Diti, the wife of Kashyap Muni. It is to be concluded that while conceiving a child, one's mind must be very sober and devotional. For this purpose, we have the Garbhadhan Samskar, and is recommended in the Vedic scriptures. So this process is so we can bring about children with good consciousness, because our consciousness is passed on to the children when they conceived, or we attract those kind of souls according to our consciousness. If the mind of the father is not sober, the living entity will be demoniac, like Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. The conditions of conception are to be carefully studied. This is a very great science. Let's do praise. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kruti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Grim Yat Kirpa Tahomande Shri Guru Dintaranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram Hari Om Tassat Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatu Jayam Udiriyat Nashta Preshav Padreshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtaki. Hare Krishna. So it is the prowess of these two twin asuras that has disturbed you. So this is Lord Brahma telling the demigods. They were disturbed by all the activities that was taking around them. Inauspicious activity was taking place around them. So Lord Brahma is explaining to the demigods of what's just happened, that two demons have been conceived in so-called, and this is causing this calamity. For it has minimized your power. There is no remedy within my power. However, for it is the Lord himself who desires to do all this. So although Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, formerly Jay and Vijay, became asuras, the demigods of the material world could not control them. And therefore, Lord Brahma said that neither he nor all the demigods could counteract the disturbance they created. They came within the material world by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he alone could counteract such disturbances. In other words, although Jay and Vijay assumed the bodies of asuras, they remain more powerful than anyone, thus proving that the Supreme Personality of Godhead desired to fight, because the fighting spirit is also within him. He's original in everything, but when he desires to fight, he must fight with a devotee. Therefore, by his desire, only were Jay and Vijay cursed by the Kumars. The Lord ordered the gatekeepers to go down to the material world to become his enemies, so that he could fight with them, and his fighting desires would be satisfied by the service of his personal devotees. So this is, we were discussing last week, this is like one of the rasas that the Lord participates in. My dear sons, the Lord is the controller of the three modes of nature and is responsible for the creation, preservation, and dissolution of the universe. His wonderful creative power, Yogamaya, cannot be easily understood even by the masters of yoga. The most ancient person, the personality of Godhead, will alone come to our rescue. What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject? So when something is arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should not be disturbed by it. This is the message here. Even if it appears to be a reverse according to one's calculations, or something that might seem that is taking us aback, but remember that, especially if you're a devotee, that Krishna is all good. There's something that might seem to us that you're going in the wrong direction, but you'll find later on that that was the right thing to happen from God's eyes. So, for example, sometimes you see that a powerful preacher is killed, or sometimes he's put into difficulty. And the example is given to Haridas Thakur. He was a great devotee who came into this world to execute the will of the Lord by preaching the Lord's glories. But Haridas was punished at the hands of the Qazi by being beaten in 22 marketplaces. Similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified and Prahlad Maharaj was put through so many tribulations. The Pandavas, who were direct friends of Krishna, lost their kingdom. Their wife was insulted and they had to undergo many severe tribulations. So we can see that great examples are given here. So if these people had to suffer, then who are we? We are not exalted as these devotees mentioned here. So they were happy to accept the Lord's will, and this is what we should do. We should accept. It's not easy, and it is painful when we are going through problems or obstacles, but somehow or other we have to find the power to accept our situation. And then Krishna is happy that you're not questioning him, you're not questioning his judgment, that, oh, you're saying that he's wrong and you are right. So seeing all these reverses affect devotees, one should not be disturbed. One should simply understand that in these matters, there must be some plan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavatam's conclusion is that a devotee is never disturbed by such reverses. He accepts even reverse conditions as the grace of the Lord. And that's the consciousness we need to have. One who continues to serve the Lord, even in reverse condition, is assured. Now, this is the reward of this consciousness, is assured to go back to Godhead, back to Vaikuntha planets. Lord Brahma assured the demigods that there was no use in talking about how the disturbing situation of darkness was taking place, since the actual fact was that it was ordered by the Supreme Lord. Brahma knew this because he was a great devotee. So Lord Brahma understood what was happening, he knew why it was happening, and he explained this to the demigods. And it was possible for him to understand the plan of the Lord. This is the attitude we should try and build. Although we don't always understand the plan of the Lord, but we can at least have confidence that there is a plan there. And then just going back to the Maitreya Muni and Vidur's conversation. So the original conversation is with Vidur and Maitreya, and then they're telling about how Brahmaji explained to the demigods of what's going on. So Sri Maitreya said, the demigods, the inhabitants of the high planets, were freed from all fear upon hearing the cause of the darkness explained by Brahma, who was born from Vishnu. Thus they all returned to their respective planets. Now the demigods, who are denizens of higher planets, are also very much afraid of incidents such as the universe is becoming dark, and so they consulted Lord Brahma. This indicates the quality of fear exists for every living entity in the material world. So the demigods are also in the material world, just the higher planets in the material world. The four principal activities of material existence are eating, sleeping, faring, and mating. And this continues all over the universe. The fair element exists also in the demigods, on every planet, even in the higher planetary systems. including the moon and the sun, as well on this earth. The same principles of animal life exists. Otherwise, why are the demigods also afraid of the darkness? The difference between the demigods and ordinary human being is that the demigods approach authority, whereas the inhabitants of this earth defy authority. If people would only approach the authority, then every adverse condition in this universe could be rectified. So Arjun was also disturbed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but he approached the authority Krishna, and his problem was solved. The conclusive instruction of this incident is that we may be disturbed by material condition, but if we approach the authority who can actually explain the matter, then our problem is solved. The demigods approached Brahma for the meaning of the disturbances, and after hearing from him, they were satisfied and returned home peacefully. So if we can't work something out ourselves, then we can always ask the authorities. In our case, our authorities are the scriptures and also the seniors in the temple. The virtuous lady Diti had been apprehensive of trouble to the gods from the children in her womb, and her husband predicted the same. She brought forth twin sons after a full 100 years of pregnancy. But she didn't want to give birth because she knew that they were going to be a nuisance to the demigods. So, but thus she held on for 100 years, and then she gave birth. On the birth of the two demons, there were many natural disturbances, all very fearful and wonderful in the heavenly planets, the earthly planets, and in between them. There were earthquakes along the mountains on the earth, and it appeared that there was fire everywhere. Many inauspicious planets like Saturn appeared, along with comets, meteors, and thunderbolts. So when natural disturbances occur on a planet, one should understand that a demon must have taken birth there. In the present age, the number of demonic people is increasing. Therefore, natural disturbances are also increasing. There is no doubt about this, as you can understand from the statements of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So they blew winds which were most uninviting to the touch, hissing again and again and uprooting gigantic trees. They had storms for their armies and clouds of dust for their ensigns. So when there are natural disturbances like blowing cyclones, too much heat or snowfall, and uprooting of trees by hurricanes, it is to be understood that the demonic population is increasing, and so the natural disturbances also taking place. Well, they get a lot of hurricanes in America, don't they? So what's going on? There are many countries on the globe, even at the present moment, where all these disturbances are current. This is true all over the world. There is insufficient sunshine, and there are always clouds in the sky, snowfall, and severe cold. These assure that such places are inhabited by demonic people who are accustomed to all kinds of forbidden sinful activity. So the luminaries in the heavens were screened by masses of cloud in which lighting sometimes flashed as though laughing. Darkness reigned everywhere and nothing could be seen. The ocean with its high waves wailed aloud as if stricken with sorrow, and there was a commotion among the creatures inhabiting the ocean. The rivers and the lakes were also agitated, and lotuses withered. Misty halos appeared around the sun and moon during the solar and lunar eclipses again and again. Claps of thunder were heard, even without clouds, and sounds like those of rattling chariots emerged from the mountain caves. So many effects. No wonder everybody was afraid. There's so many effects taking place. Now I was thinking, if the demigods were so afraid, what about the people on earth? How afraid they must have been as well. And the funny thing is, what about people who actually pray to the demigods for help, when these calamities are taking place? You find from Srimad Bhagavatam that the demigods themselves are afraid. How can they help us if they're afraid themselves? In the interior of the villages, she-jackals yelled potentially, vomiting strong fire from their mouths, and jackals and owls also joined them with their cries. Raising their necks, dogs cried here and there, now in the manner of singing and now of wailing. O Vidur, the asses ran hither and thither in herds, striking the earth with their hard hooves and wildly braying. The asses also feel very respectable as a race, and they run in flocks hither and thither in so-called jollity. It is understood to be a bad sign for human society. So, frightened by the braying of these asses, birds flew shrieking from the nests, while cattle in the cow sheds, as well as in the woods, passing dung and urine. Cows, terrified, yielded blood in place of milk. Clouds rained pus, and the images of the gods in the temple shed tears, and trees fell down without a blast of wind. This is, imagine that as special effects, and all these were taking place, and all through Lord Narayan's will, the God's will. He wanted this, and so he created this situation. Ominous planets such as Mars and Saturn shone brighter and surpassed the auspicious ones such as Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus, as well as a number of lunar mansions, taking seemingly retrograde courses. The planets came in conflict with one another. So the entire universe is moving around the three modes of material nature. Those living entities who are in goodness are called the pious species. And pious lands, pious trees, etc. It's similar with the planets also. Many planets are considered pious and others are considered impious. This is amazing. So although they are actually all known as grahas, all the planets are known as grahas, but some are pious and some are impious. Saturn and Mars are considered impious. Shani and Mangal. When the pious planets shine very brightly, it is an auspicious sign. And when the inauspicious planets shine very brightly, this is not a very good sign. So we do see sometimes Mars shining brightly. And Saturn, I think Saturn was seen recently as well, shining quite brightly. So marking these and many other omens of evil times, everyone but the four sage sons of Brahma, who were aware of the fall of Jay and Vijay and of their birth as Diti sons, was seized with fear. They didn't know the secrets of these portents and thought that the dissolution of the universe was at hand. According to Bhagavad-Gita, 7th chapter, the laws of nature are so stringent that it is impossible for the living entity to surpass their enforcement. It is also explained that only those who are fully surrendered to Krishna in Krishna consciousness can be saved. So this is the power of Krishna consciousness. We can learn from the description of Srimad Bhagavatam that it is because of the birth of the true great demons that there were so many natural disturbances. It is to be indirectly understood, as previously described, that when there are constant disturbances on the earth, that is an omen that some demonic people have been born, or that the demonic population has increased. In former days, there were only 2 demons, those born of Diti, yet there were so many disturbances. At the present day, especially in this age of Kali, these disturbances are always visible, which indicates that the demonic population has certainly increased. And this is the word of Srimad Bhagavatam. To check the increase of demonic population, the Vedic civilization enacted so many rules and regulations of social life, the most important of which is the Garbhadhan process. So there is always a solution to a problem, and to solve a material problem, you need not a material solution, you need a transcendental or spiritual solutions to these problems. Although we try and solve the material problems with material solutions, that doesn't work. The most important of which is the Garbhadhan process for begetting good children. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna informed Krishna that if there is unwanted population, the entire world will appear to be hell. People are very anxious for peace in the world, but there are so many unwanted children born without the benefit of the Garbhadhan ceremony, just like the demons born from Diti. Diti was so lusty that she forced her husband to copulate at a time which was inauspicious, and therefore the demons were born to create disturbances. If each and every household is in every family observes the Vedic system, then there are nice children, not demons. And automatically there's peace in the world. If we don't follow regulations in life for social tranquility, we cannot expect peace. Rather, we will have to undergo the stringent reactions of natural laws. And this is the word of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it has really pushed the fact that Garbhodhan Samskara should take place. We should follow the process. I don't know who follows it, but it is becomes highly recommended. And I can understand the exalted devotees must be following it. Or you can see the result that some of the children from day one, they are pure, they're like pure devotees, and they advance so quickly. So maybe that is the effect of that. So thank you so much for joining. My father-in-law ji, Rukmini Mataji, Jai Prabhu, Praveen Mataji, Prem Prakash Prabhu, Sarveshriya Mataji, and Sushil Prabhu. Thank you all for joining. And nice to have you back, Rukmini Mataji. I hope you enjoyed your holidays. Hare Krishna. Would you like to make any comments on this, Mataji?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hanji Mataji. Anything? What do you think about this Garbhodhan Samskara? You think people are following this?
Prabhuji, this is Kali Yuga. You don't say this holy and pious words in this world. Everything is, this is the highest tip of Kali Yuga. We can't expect anything, but we are lucky that we are associating like you, our preachers. So we can keep it in our mind to be holy and pious. But otherwise, in this Kali Yuga, the highest tip of Kali Yuga is today, and we can't expect anything. Anything can happen in this Kali Yuga. Just we have to be associates with our good people, holy people like ISKCON, and we have to be regularly visit temple, or otherwise we can keep the temples in our house and read the Bhagavad-Gita, Bhagavatam. That is the best thing to save ourselves from this Kali Yuga.
Sure.
Is it right?
Absolutely. So, I mean, what about devotees? You think devotees, it should be one of the vows maybe when they are getting initiated, that you should follow the samskara? Because obviously if we are trying to create more devotees, we're going out preaching, like you just mentioned, we're preaching to everyone to become devotees. We are distributing Prabhupada's books. So what about our own responsibility as for our children, to make them Krishna conscious and to follow the process from the stage of conceiving a child, that we have Krishna conscious children? I mean, shouldn't that be reinforced a bit more? Or you think there's too many strict rules already?
Today's education and today's schools, I think they should keep the one subject, one period of religious. So all the children in the school, they get the education, right education. It is possible. This thing is possible. And at home, we have to keep our atmosphere of ISKCON, Krishna conscious, each and every home. Otherwise, this Kali Yuga is very, very strong and spreading everywhere. It's not in our hand. I think it may be Krishna's plan. And finally, everything will be destroyed.
Sure.
Is it right, Prabhuji?
Of course, Madhuri, you're always right. You know more than us. You've been in the movement much longer. This is what I was asking you, that have you experienced this? Because you've been there so long, and you have gone to different countries and different temples. Do they encourage Garbhodhan Samskar? That's why I wanted to know, because you've been in the movement a lot longer than us, Madhuri.
Yeah, because Garbhadha Sanskar is very important.
Yeah.
If people think that they want the child before before being pregnant, ladies, they have to start thinking about that, and they just start religious ceremony, and then they should begin the being pregnant.
Yes.
Then it can help, and continuously we have to read these scriptures. Then it will affect. Otherwise, the child will born just normal like today's world. All the children are coming, so it is a very difficult, but in this Kali Yuga it is very difficult, but still we all ISKCON people and so many sanstha's, so many groups are trying to do it.
Yes.
That is good for, that is our, we are blessed, these religious people.
Absolutely, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sushil Prabhu, would you like to say something?
One minute, Prabhu. Obviously, it was a very nice class, yeah. Listen to the pastimes of the two doorkeepers. Yes, it's very good. There's a lot of lessons to be learned, really, about like the I guess reincarnation. You know, trying to make sure we get back to Godhead, really, and continue to serve devotees.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So the example that you given here, that is compare the two. So when Lord Narayan or Krishna does something, they do it for a lot of reasons. You know, like once he wants to fight, and then he's showing how even demigods become afraid, and then he's also teaching us a lesson that in today's society, that the demons are, look, here's some demons being born, in today's society demons are born, but there is a solution to this as well. So tells us so many things, that there are solutions, you know. So he's not just looking to fight, he's also looking to teach us something as well, isn't it, at the same time?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Jay Prabhu?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So I think we're back into the material world now after spending a few weeks in the spiritual world. So at the end of chapter 15, I was left with the demigods approaching Brahma due to the national disturbances. So we learned that fear exists in all living entities in the material world, and this includes the demigods. So Diti had two twin sons after a 100-year-long pregnancy. On the birth of her demon sons, there were many natural disturbances, things like earthquakes, extreme weather conditions, and so on. So when natural disturbances are increasing, it's a sign that the demoniac population is also increasing. So at the moment we have, you know, some countries, you know, where there's extreme, is more hostile conditions than others. I don't know whether it's proportional to the number of demonic people in the country, but maybe not. I don't know. So there were earthquakes. Yeah, cows yielded blood in place of milk. Clouds, rainforests, and so on. There's inauspicious planetary arrangements, well, like planets like Saturn appeared along with comets and so on. So I don't know whether Saturn didn't exist before this event, but it seems to suggest it didn't. But so planets came into conflict with one another. So the inauspicious planets shone more brighter than the auspicious ones, which was not a good omen. So the two, I think we haven't got to this, but the two demons began to exhibit uncommon bodily features, like they had steel-like frames. They become so tall that they block the view in all directions. Yeah. So I think we didn't get any further than that. So I'll leave it there. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Praveen Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam to everyone. Very nice class. Yeah, main point I picked up, nice pastime. Material problems are solved by spiritual solutions only. And you're very right that, yeah, we only look for material solutions. So that's where we fail. And the other point, whatever happens in our life is God's plan and is always best for us. So I do firmly believe in that, but still I do get like a little bit upset when things, I feel like, oh God, why this has happened. But I also firmly believe that whatever happens in our life is teaching us a good lesson. So we should always see, what is Lord trying to teach me now? So I think our life becomes very easy if we accept it. And we can do that. We should accept the Lord's will by finding power through chanting and reading scriptures. So yeah, I think that these are the points that, and the other point you were asking, Mataji, about Garbhadan Sanskar, and I think it is very, very good. And I've got a regret. I wish I had come decades ago in Krishna consciousness, So, but it's again God's will. So we have to accept it whenever we come. So yeah, but that's very important. So we will have more devotees, like I once said before, all these demonic people are taking birth. So I'm one of them, because if we are not connected to Krishna straight away, so we are only having demonic qualities. So more we follow Garbhadan Sanskar, then, we will have better population. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Absolutely. And as you mentioned about the spiritual solutions, I mean, sometimes we can't work them out. And I noticed that a lot of temples now offering helplines to help devotees. They can speak to somebody there who is an expert, and you have a problem, they can guide you in the right direction of what to do, and they give you spiritual solutions for your problem, which I think is very good. That any problem you have, you can speak to them in confidence, and this is what devotee care is all about. You can speak to them in confidence, and they help you find a solution, and it's all confidential as far as I know. So that's a good thing. And talk about the demonic, yes, we are all in fact, we're not very powerful demons, but we are demons in some way. But the good news is that it's irreversible, that just because we were born as demons, we don't have to remain demon. The illusionary energy we are covered by, we can purify ourselves as well. We can get rid of that illusion, and this is why we are in Krishna consciousness. Thank you so much, Mataji. Prem Prakash Prabhu, you want to speak to that?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, and Pranam. Sorry, Prabhuji, am I audible?
Yes, can hear you.
Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhuji. I mean, the event, like it said, that the way the demons actually take birth, then we see the calamities and natural disasters happening. And we are seeing that for last almost 2 years, we are still there. So we can expect the corona demon in some form, in minute form, is still there. So that's one thing we can understand. But there's also one thing is that very important to understand is that for every living entity, original position is having servitude to the Supreme Lord. And we all are here because we have forgotten in some sense, basically, our relationship, and we are trying to enjoy in some sense. Now that's enjoying independent of Krishna is itself a demonic quality, basically. So as much we have propensity to enjoy ourselves away from Krishna is more tendency to be demoniac, following demonic principles. That's something which very crucial to understand.
Sure.
And for us, we can understand, but for others, we can't do. So we are still subject to threefold mysteries in this world, whether we completely understand it or not. But it's also said that in Bhagavad-Gita that whoever takes shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna protects them. So once we actually take up to Krishna consciousness, then it's up to the plan of Krishna. Basically, that means like we submit to the plans of Krishna, whether it's said in the Maruvi Rakuvi. I mean, whether it's you save or whether you kill, is submitting to the plans of Krishna. And that's what Brahmaji also advised, that we have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, because it's his plan. Nobody can do it. Even the demigods are afraid, being not afraid. It's not in their power. So only thing that remains is to submit to the plans of Krishna, basically, and accept whatever is coming through. And Krishna has planned eventually, the demons will be annihilated and the pious will be saved. So that's his plan eventually. But there is also Leela, which he wants to play because of his will. And when he plays Leela, whether we are having submissive attitude towards the Leela or we don't have submissive attitude towards the Leela will be there, whether we understand it or not. Krishna is going to Krishna's priority, Krishna's will is topmost. But whatever plan we have doesn't make whether it makes sense to us or not when Krishna is playing Leela, and so everyone is part of it. So that's how it's going to be there. But here in this case, the demigods, whether they wanted to be part of this inauspicious things happening, and whether they want to be victorious all the time or not, because it's Krishna playing the Leela. So Krishna's plan will always be there, no matter whatever a person wills, basically. So the best thing Brahmaji advised is to surrender to Krishna and then pray to him that the calamities would be over in some sense. So that's what my understanding is, that we are in daily life, there is always going to be calamities. And since we are not perfect and we are actually trying to practice, we also have demonic qualities, having sense to enjoy apart from Krishna. So we every day in evening, if we reflect, we will have some realizations that where we could have improved and what wrong we have done. The best thing is to understand that is a plan of Krishna and a teaching of Krishna. Learn something, make some commitment for the next day, and try the next day how we want to correct those things which we are not able to do earlier, the day before. And some very small steps, day by day steps, that would, with our commitment, probably we can improve. And we can take also, doing that, we can also take blessings of Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, and all the senior Vaishnavas, and pray to Krishna that to help us and guide us to improve. So this is what I understand from today's class, but there's more to understand, but that's more understanding I have.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. And I was just thinking, chapter 16 of Bhagavad-Gita, I mean, Bhagavad-Gita tells us that there's a divine and demonic qualities within everyone, especially in the Kali Yuga. We have both qualities, but we can adjust them. We can get rid of the demonic quality, the demon inside us, and bring in, make our divine more powerful. Feed the divine rather than feeding the demon. So we have a choice, which there are examples given of a dog. Which dog do you feed? We want to feed the divine dog rather than the demon dog. So we feed that, and then we can get the divine qualities. And then chapter 16 mentions which qualities are divine. So we can have a checklist that, yes, we're noticing these things, these changes in us. So we work on that, and that comes through our sadhana practice and a lot of praying.
Absolutely. Few people actually believe that it's absolutely black and white. So they will be either you serve entirely the white, I mean demonic qualities, and there is no bad qualities at all. But in fact, it's always a gray area. So we overlap the qualities all the time.
Yeah.
Until one is a pure devotee, it's not possible to have all good qualities altogether. We need to understand, we need to acknowledge, and we need to improve.
Sure. But you should notice the changes, right?
Absolutely.
You're not going to get a sudden change overnight. It's not going to happen that, right, I've got into this habit, now I've become so good. It will overlap, but you see the change. And it might be subtle change, but you know, you have to be aware that Krishna conscious is a science. And when you experiment with it, see the results. So you see the change coming in you, whether you're becoming more compassionate, you're becoming more patient, you're becoming more understanding, whatever divine qualities you're getting. And it's all listed in chapter 16. Qualities of a Brahman, qualities of a devotee, however you want to look at it, you find those qualities are building inside you. So yeah, obviously it is step by step.
Yeah, that's what is self-realization, Prabhuji, coming from Shastras. Wonderful. Thank you so much for the guidance.
Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question. If anybody has got any tips on how to introspect, like Prabhuji said, like in the evening, if we just think, so I don't know if anybody's got a chart or anything, what we should be ticking and checking, did I get angry or did I do this today? So if anybody's done anything, please share with me. So I think introspection is very good.
Yeah, it's very right. Maybe Prem Prakash Prabhu can come back and just guide us
Yeah.
on that. Now that you mentioned it, Prabhu.
To begin with, Prabhuji, I mean, I don't have a checklist, but what is important for me to understand is sit back for like 5 minutes, at least 5 to 10 minutes, and see how my day was. So obviously we do have many things. We've been reading Bhagavad-Gita and over the period of time, and then we have, to our basic understanding, we have come to at least to acknowledge that what we've been doing right or what we've been doing wrong. But I don't have the checklist at the moment, to be honest. But it's a very good idea to prepare a checklist, and it could be useful to ourselves and to others as well. That's in fact very good idea. But the important thing is, based on our level, the checklist will be different. We need to also acknowledge this, that based on our sadhana bhakti staircase, which step we are on, our checklist will be different. For someone, 2:45, waking up quarter to 4 in the morning is a checklist. For others, it could be 7 o'clock. Waking up at 7 o'clock could be a checklist. And for them, it's not feasible because they aren't working a shift at all. So based on the time, place, and circumstances, the individual checklist will be different. For some people, getting angry is not an option. And for some people, getting angry to get some work done at certain places, or transcendental transcendently being in such position could be an option. But my point is that for every individual, the checklist should be different, but we need to introspect. That's more important. And that is there. I hope that answers Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, very nicely explained, Prem Prakash Prabhu. Absolutely right. And actually, it's mentioned, I don't know about checklist, but it's mentioned that this is why we have Ekadashi. So if you can't do every night, do a checklist every night. Every Ekadashi, this is what Ekadashi is for, that you do an auditing of how you have been in since the last Ekadashi. What have you learned, your realizations, and are you going in the right direction? Did you chant right in the rounds? Did you chant whatever that you think you can do? You can make your own checklist. Obviously, you can make your own, like Prabhu mentioned, according to your time, place, and circumstance, and the capacity. You can make your own checklist and see where you need to improve. Everything's there in Bhagavad-Gita. It answers all the questions, and or you can get advice. If you can't work it out yourself, then you can get advice, and just have certain areas you want to improve, or you can ask where should I be improving, and then I'm sure it can be helped. Thank you so much. Anji, Sureshi Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. When the demigods were disturbed by the disturbances, Brahma told them that Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyakashipu did austerity and were given boon by him, that they could not be killed by anyone in this material world because they were from the spiritual world. And that's why only the Lord can kill him. Now they could be killed by anybody because they belong to the spiritual world. They came from there. And Jai Vijay were devotees of the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha. They saved him so nicely. They became enemies when they became demons. The same people, when they become demons, they start hating Krishna. Everyone is conditioned in this world with the three modes of material nature. And then according to their nature, they're born in the yonis. That sometimes they can become animals. When they become animals, they act like animals. And when they become demons, they act like demons. And when they are born as demigod, they act like demigod. You can get the quality of demigod if you get the quality of demigod, if you are born in the family of demigod, you act like demons qualities if you are born in demon family. And as you mentioned, it get qualities of the demons in the 16th chapter. They get pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, ignorance. And it's in Bhagavatam somewhere I read that Indra was once cursed to become a pig. And he came to this material world and he was a pig. And when his curse was over, Brahma, he came and asked him that you have to go to heaven. But he refused to go because he was conditioned in that way. He said, I'm enjoying this, this things I'm eating here, all this, what the pigs eat. He said, I'm not going with you. So when you are born, you are conditioned, you like that life. And so all these brahmanas, sometimes they curse and they become demons like Ravana. He was a pious king in his past life. His name was Pratap Bhanu. But he was cursed by brahmanas to become demon. He was a very pious king. He was looking after subjects. He was devotee of Supreme Personality, Godhead. But when he became demon, he started hating, and he started hating Lord Ram. So what I'm saying is that whatever yoni you are born in, you start acting like that. So Jai Vijay, they were devotees of Lord, Supreme Lord, but they became demons and they acted like demons. And the difference between demons and demigods are when the demigods are in problem, they always approach Krishna and they surrender to him and they ask him to help him. But these demons, they never go, they never approach Supreme Personality of Godhead. They think that they are proud of their strength and pride, and they said they can do it themselves. They don't need of Lord. So that's why they always lose the battle. And so we must always, when we are in a problem or anything, we have to surrender to Krishna instead of thinking, oh, I can do it. I don't want help from anybody. We always need help, and we can pray to Krishna, do prayer. So Krishna can help you. So this is Jai Vijay. They were devotees, but they act differently. When they were put into this yoni, they acted differently. So this is the nature of people are born in the mode of material nature. We see a lot of people, the demonic, the people demigods. So according to the past deeds they have done and the karma they have done. So Krishna said, according to your karma, you must do karma now. So we can see you can know that what you're gonna be. You're gonna be animal or you're gonna be human being. So we have to check out all this demonic nature. And we can see in the Bhagavad-Gita what Krishna says, which is divine and which is demonic nature. So we have to be very careful to follow the divine nature, not the demonic nature. Otherwise, we'll have our birth in the demonic family or with the love of animal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yes, wonderful explained. Yeah, it's all about attachment, isn't it? It's all about, this is why Bhagavad-Gita says again and again, don't be attached. We become attached to our own bodies, we become attached to our families, our possessions, and it's the attachment that causes problems for us, because even like as an animal, you're attached to your body, you're attached to the family that you belong to, etc., etc. So attachment, animals don't know any better, we do, and we can do something about it. So we shouldn't be attached to material things, whether it's our bodies, family, society, country, world, whatever. No attachments. We just do what Krishna instructs. Be attached to his instructions, not to what we think, what gives us gratification, because a lot of the attachment is really sense gratification. This is why, people who do altruism and helping charities, and a lot of times that they're doing because it gives them personal satisfaction. But you go through Krishna, you satisfy Krishna. What Krishna wants. If Krishna wants you to do charity, then you do charity. Krishna wants you to be compassionate, then you be compassionate. But you go through Krishna to do everything. And Krishna, he doesn't advise wrong thing. So you follow you go through him, then you're always attached to him, rather than what you think you're doing, and you attach to that. And then, like Mataji mentioned, then you'll come back again, because you are attached to the material world. You'll come back again and either enjoy or suffer that. But if you're attached to Krishna, then you will go to Krishna. So very important to do everything through Krishna, what he wants to do it from there. Thank you so much. I think we only got time now for one round. We'll do a quick round. Swashi Mataji, you want to, so we just have one round, and then we'll finish the program. Hare Krishna.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vicharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Pashtata Desitarne